Hey sis. Hey, hey. Hey Sing. Hey y'all. Hey, 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 hey. It's late. Y'all know I'm late, but I'm here. Sting, I can see your badge on one of my phones, but I can't see it on my other phone. That is so weird. Hello, Ellen. Hello, Miss Annette. How are you? Yes, I had a very blessed day. Hello, Miss Cassandra. Come out the bushes and hit that like button. It's all good thing. You know we about to get it popping in a minute. I don't wait too long for people to come in. Yeah, I see it on I have both of my phones are Androids, but I can see it on one, but I can't see it on the other. Hey Miss Veronica. Hey, it's Ashanti from me. Hey Boo. Everybody welcome in Ashanti. Oh, thank you for being a member for 3 months, Miss Steen. Hello, Miss Tracy. Okay, what I wanted to talk about today is you seen the title, Who's Raising Your Children? Is it social media? Is it you? And this has really been a topic that's been on my mind for a minute because everywhere I go, I see kids with phones and tablets in their face. They're so consumed by the electronics that they have more than what's going on around them. Um, to me, I don't see much of people coming home from work, sitting down with their children, doing homework, everybody sitting at the dinner table anymore, asking, how was your day? What did you do today? Things like that. And that is very, very uh needed, especially in today's day and age, in my opinion. Um, the most vital teachings and lessons they're gonna get is from in the household. So if you're not doing your part in the household, then the outside world is gonna have a big influence on your children. It's important that you instill those type of things in your children while they are young. All that I see so much of when the child is young and they do something and everybody laugh. It's so cute when the child is young and they do it. Everybody get a kick out of it. But as that child grow and now you consider the same thing that y'all all laughed about, that y'all let the child get away from for years. Now y'all trying to discipline the same child for the same thing that they've been doing forever. That that's just that confuses the child. Had you corrected that behavior in the beginning, then it wouldn't be a problem now. Um, hey Miss Maisha, hey Miss Carla. I have this thing with my niece and we call it the fourth grade tea. And this is when she called and she tells me about all the fourth grade drama that's going on at her school. And these two stories, a couple weeks ago, stood out to me and really broke me down. The first story was of this young little boy, and he was disrupting the class, so the teacher put him out. The teacher put him out, and on his way out, he threatened to shoot up the school. Now, this is a fourth grader. What did he learn about shooting up schools? And that's a response to when people get angry, they associate that with shooting up schools. Like, how did he associate that all together? Where's he seeing that or learning that type of stuff from? Either talked about within the household, he's watching it on these devices that's constantly up in their face all day, or he learning from the environment that he's in. But somebody has to take responsibility for that, because if that child was to ever bring a weapon to that school and have access to a weapon and bring it to that school and harm a child, then the parent is going to be responsible for that child's behavior. So, what made your child say something like that out of anger? And that's another reason why I can't stand when people tell little boys or men don't cry, don't show emotion, because you hinder them as adults. If you tell them that boys don't cry, boys don't show emotion, you call them out their name, you tell them that they a punk or they this, that, and the other, when they start to show emotion, then they start to bottle that up. That's going to come out as anger eventually. So when they get older, and they get with your daughter that was raised properly. So you say you think you did a good job, and now this individual has been told all his life never to show his emotions, never to cry. So now he doesn't know how to process those emotions, and so those emotions are gonna have to spill out eventually. So normally they spill out as anger, and they spill out to the person that's closest to them. And in most cases, that's your sweet, precious daughter. So we do ourselves a disservice when we tell these young men not to show emotions, not to cry. What we need to be doing is teaching them how to control their emotions, and that it's okay for them to have emotions, but to go through whatever they're going through and teach them how to get through it and get over it, instead of telling them that they're not supposed to have them, because eventually those things are going to explode. Pressure burst pipes. Hello, Mr. Legend of Oz. Everybody, please welcome in Mr. Legend. Hey, Mama. Hey, Heath. I think I spoke to everybody else. Didn't want to miss anybody. And the second story was they were on the playground, and the young lady found a lighter, and she attempted to set herself on fire. So my niece and the other young kids around asked her what was wrong. Why was she trying to hurt herself? The young lady said that her mom had passed, and she feels like her stepmother doesn't love her, and that because her stepmother doesn't love her, that her father doesn't love her, and she didn't want to be here anymore. So she thought it was a good idea to set herself on fire at school. That broke my heart when my niece told me that. And you have two different types of kids in school. You have those that's going to tell it all, and those who ain't going to say anything. And one of the little girls in the class told my niece and the other children not to say anything to the teachers, because they said that they were going to go alert the teachers. And this one little girl in particular told them not to go alert the teacher. And what I am so proud of my niece is that she has a mind of her own, like her aunts. And no matter if everybody going one way, if she feel like going the opposite way, even if it means going by herself, she's gonna go there. And so she did what I would pray she would do, and she went and got an adult. But why is that baby feeling like she's not loved in that household? Why does the stepmother have that much interaction with the child right now in this vulnerable state? The father, and especially by her losing her mother, I feel like her father, somebody that she's more comfortable with, needs to be around her a little bit more, because that's all she really has at this point. The last thing she needs is an overbearing or somebody who shows that they don't even like her. She shouldn't even be feeling like that this adult doesn't like her. And especially enough for her to want to lose her life, to take her own life as a 9-year-old little girl. But where do they pick these type of things up from? How do she know that that's a response to what she's going through, that some kids unalive themselves? What are we putting in front of our children and let them consume? The television and these social media platforms have so much influence on these kids nowadays. It's ridiculous. And I have to oftentimes tell my sister when she say these kids don't have any stress. They don't have nothing to worry about. When we was young, we ain't had no stress. We don't have anything to worry about. But we are living in a whole different type of time, when where we went through is definitely not the times that these children are going through. Everything is in their face, where everything is so perfect. Everybody has a bunch of money. Everybody live in the best house. Everybody had a perfect life. Everybody's body perfect. Nobody's going through anything, and that's what they get to portray to these kids. And a lot of these kids are broken, so they latch on to what they wish they were, or what they wish they had. And these people that they call themselves influencers become really impressionable upon your children, and so they try to imitate what they see. But what they see is all wrong, and why do they have access to these type of things? We have to be an advocate for our children and stand up for their mental health, because social media, I say, it's a gift and a curse. It's good for what it's good for, but when you run into the wrong thing, it can really do harm to vulnerable people. That's why I'm always upset when I see people display certain behaviors on social media, especially when it comes to children, because we have a lot of people that watch us. And we have a lot of people who watch us who may not be in the best mental state at that moment. And they may look up to you. And if you're not putting the right message out here, you may destroy somebody's life trying to follow behind you. And you say, yes, these people grown, they shouldn't be out following behind an adult. But so many people out here are broken, and they just looking to be accepted by somebody or something, that they're latching on to people that they don't even know. So we have to be mindful as content creators, influencers, vloggers, whatever you consider yourself. What message are you putting out here for people? Because some of the people that look up to you, they have very impressionable minds. Mr. Legend says social media, certain rappers and rap lyrics, TV, these wicked influences, not all, and of course the propaganda machine. Yes, the TV. And I used to wonder why back in the day, your grandparents would call it the idiot box, and it wasn't only till I stopped watching TV till I really understood where they were coming from, because I would watch a lot of the housewives of this and the housewives of that and the lifestyles of this and all that type of stuff. But what was it feeding me? What was it doing for me? I wasn't learning anything from it. I wasn't taking anything from it. It wasn't feeding me in any type of way, emotionally, spiritually, financially, but I was so consumed with it. But it wasn't until I took a step back away from it till I understood why they call it the idiot box, because the more of it you watch, the stupider I felt. Miss Linda says, hello, Miss Linda. Hello, Miss Alice. Hello, Miss Ellie. Miss Allie, Miss Linda says children are our future. Let's understand that they are who they are, and as parents, etc., they what to be loved regardless, not judged. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what is missing out of a lot of households right now. Miss Alice, I'm sorry, Miss Linda, is love. People think because you put a roof over the child's head and you provide clothing for them and you put food in their mouth, then that's all they need. But children need love, and if they don't get it from inside the home, they're going to search for it on the outside of the home, and most time it's going to be in the wrong doggone places where we're going to regret our decision of not doing better in the end. So we need to provide that first. We should be our children's first love, to teach them the proper way to love, so once they are being mistreated or loved improperly, they know, I ain't going for that. That's not the way I was raised. That's not how I was taught. You're gonna have to come better than that to be able to come to me. But see, when they not raised on love, is they're raised off of survival, then they're willing to accept anything and everything just to feel that connection to somebody, that connection that they should have felt within the household first and foremost. Miss Ellen says sometimes even sitting at the same dinner table, everyone is on a device. Times are different, definitely, and that's what I feel like. As a parent, that's your opportunity to say, all phones are in this basket. We're going to talk to each other, not at each other. We're going to use this time to see how everybody they was. Or use that time to go through your child's phone to see what's been going on, what they've been talking about, who they've been talking to, who they've been talking with. And now I see a lot of people like Najee, for example. She wrote this post and it was so exaggerated. I think I still have it in my phone. Let me see if I still have it. And it was going on and on and on about how she supplies all these materialistic things for her child. But it wasn't nothing in there about love or affection or attention. It was all about, he has all these pairs of Jordans. He has all these designer clothes that he haven't even wore before. I buy him a big hamburger when we go to eat. Like, what? That doesn't mean that you love your child because he has every pair of Jordans on his feet, Jordans that he can't even doggone walk. Excuse me. That child's not going to remember those Jordans. I can't remember no doggone shoes that I had when I was we had to a grasshopper, but I can remember the love that I felt in my household. I can remember the attention that I received from the people in my household. All that materialistic stuff, it comes and it goes. Who cares about that? Your child don't care nothing about no doggone Jordans or getting the biggest hamburger on a doggone menu. Hold on one second. I'm still trying to see if I have the screenshot of it. It might be on. I might have saved it on Facebook. But it was just baffling to me how people equate love to materialistic things nowadays. That doesn't mean you love somebody. Love is an action where you have to show somebody you love them. Doesn't mean you ever have to buy them anything. Love doesn't cost. Miss Veronica, hello, said that is so true. I have a niece and she loves to talk. Back in just a week ago, I told her something and my mother told her to answer me. And I told my mother that's why these kids are so disrespectful. Yeah, it's no way in this world. First of all, your niece shouldn't have answered you. Even at my big age, I'm not gonna disrespect my aunts no matter uh you know, I'm not gonna say no matter what they say, because if they say the wrong thing and I have something to say, I'm gonna say it, but it's never gonna be in a disrespectful manner. Everybody, please welcome in Miss Justice React. But for her to ignore you like you wasn't her aunt, and for her to feel like that was okay to do, that means she has done it before and there was no consequences to her actions. And remember, back in the day, we couldn't even blink the wrong way without your mother turning around and giving you that look of death. And you know not to play with her no more. The next thing out your mouth better be, yes, ma'am. She didn't even have to raise her hand or her voice. She would just shoot you that doggone eye. And you knew to get yourself together. Nowadays, these kids don't have any respect for anybody. The way that they go around, we never used to cuss around adults. Now you go to the store, the kids see you, baby, they just keep on cussing, and it seems like they say the most raunchiest words around adults, and they have no shame. Now, I'm not saying that you should choke your kid up in the corner, but at what point do you fix this behavior of your child? Because everybody ain't gonna play with your kid. Everybody don't do disrespect is gonna tolerate the disrespect that your child is displaying out here. So you need to remedy this situation before somebody in the street does, because the person in the street ain't gonna give two damns about your child. That's why you fix those type of things in the household. If you don't get your child right, somebody in the street gonna get them together. And we just gonna pray that they make it back home to you at the end of the night. But see, if you would have tackled that issue when you first saw it, at the onset of the issue, then you probably wouldn't be having that problem at this point where she's disrespecting her aunt and thinking it's okay and that she can get away with it without getting her ass knocked in the back of her head. Miss Steen said my mom had this mean backhand slap. Let me tell you, I've only gotten hit one time by my mom in my life, and that's because me with my smart mouth, I said something after she said something, because I always got to get the last word. And my mom used to wear rings on every finger. She had a ring. I don't know why her gaudy self did that. Ma, don't beat me. But she did. And when I tell you she was driving and she reached back and she backhand smacked me in my mouth with them doggone rings on, baby. I promise you, if I ever talk back, it was nowhere near her. I waited till I got all the way upstairs in my room, under the bed, under the cover, before I ever said anything else. But to Pat after she said shut up, okay? So I learned my lesson that day. I learned that day, okay? Let's just say, yes, Miss Mel, when life was real without these evil electronics, that's taking over the world's mind, and it is. And that's becoming a lot of people babysitters. Nowadays, they just sit their kids in front of the television or in front of the iPad, and they literally, kids, I've seen kids watch this continuously for hours and hours and hours till the goddamn song is driving me crazy, and I'm repeating it over and over and over again like I'm 4 years old sitting there and watching it. But they have watched episode after episode after episode, and you don't think it's a problem with that? Like, at what point do you get them off of that and you teach them their letters, sight words, their colors, or whatever the case may be? Or you spend some time with them, take them out the house. You can't just put them in front of a device and expect them to just be okay. Yes, some of these shows do educate, but like I said, the most vital education lessons and teachings are going to come from your parents, from your guardian, from the people who are raising you, from within your household. Miss Cindy says, I'm a grandma raised in the 60s, 70s, but one thing from my childhood to motherhood to grandmotherhood, I love mine. Materialism is just a way of times. It doesn't last. Absolutely. And I learned that so long ago. Miss Linda, I told y'all when our house caught on fire and we had nothing, you learn real quick that you don't need all of those things. You just happy to have your life. When you come so close to not making it, all that old other stuff goes out the window. You just lucky to be here to tell your story. So it was at that time, at that young age, I realized who gives a damn about materialistic stuff as long as my mother's safe, my brother's safe, my sister's safe. We are together. We are safe. We didn't lose our life that night. All that other stuff, it comes and it goes. And knowing me, I was probably 3 donuts away from another size any damn way. So what does it matter? It means nothing. Sting said, wasn't no Grubhub. You ate what was cooked or you didn't eat. Absolutely. I remember my grandma used to say that all the time. We used to always come over her house to ask her what's for dinner. She'll tell us, she said, you either eat it or you starve. My mother, on the other hand, she spoiled us. So if we wanted 3 different things, my mama was going to cook 3 different things. But my grandmother, at her house, baby, you ate what she cooked or you did not eat. And she didn't care. She was going to clean up her kitchen when she was done. She was going to shut her kitchen down. She was going to get in the bath, put on her nightgown, go in her room, and your ass was going to starve. So you was either going to go back in there and heat that stuff up you just swore you wasn't about to eat, or you was going to starve for that night. She didn't care either way. It was your choice. Did I speak to you, Miss Carla? Hey, Miss Carla. Miss Carla said, right thing, my kids grew up in the 80s and 90s. Thank goodness for that. And it's so much of a difference between now and then, because growing up in the 80s, we used to go outside and ride our bikes and go to the park. And I remember when we used to pitch a tent in the backyard and sleep outside all night, or I don't remember if y'all remember or if y'all had it in y'all state, but um, it was like the early 2000s. Mom, do you remember the year where we had the blackout here? And it was literally, we almost ran out of gas in the whole state. There was no power in the entire state of Michigan. And it was like that for a few days. And it reminded me of back in the day because everybody was outside on their porches, because it was too hot to be in the house. 'Cause wasn't no electricity, so wasn't no air or anything out there like that. So everybody was outside, everybody was barbecuing, everybody was, yelling down the street at one another. It was like it was back in the day. And just for a brief moment, it felt calm. But nowadays, I just feel so sad because the young kids, that's my nieces and nephews' ages, they can't experience the things that we experience, like sleeping outside in the backyard or walking to the doggone gas station in the middle of the night for some doggone 25-cent annihilators, a quarter juice, and 4 bags of chips. Because who even knows that they even gonna make it back home from 4 blocks away from their house nowadays? It is so different. Miss Milson, when I was coming up, it was one phone in the house, and you bet not touch it without permission. You better talk to your friends at school. We can talk on the phone at our house, but they bet not call soon as your behind get home from school, because she gonna be like, didn't you just see that girl all doggone day? Hang up that phone. Go do your homework. Remember those clear phones? They used to, when it used to ring, you can see the light in the inside. Girl, to this day, my grandmother still has a house phone with 2 cordless phones. I don't know why, but she do. Eugenia Sullivan was a YouTuber. She had anorexia and she died this year. A lot of kids were watching this channel, and I learned that from work. Wow. And Miss Cassandra, did the did she document her struggles with anorexia, or did they find out after she passed away? Was she glorifying anorexia? Let me know before I respond. Miss Mel said these kids want to grow up so fast they won't even allow themselves to experience life for themselves. And Miss Mel, I I'm kind of split when it comes to that. Yes, I do think kids nowadays do want to be grown very fast, and I am guilty of saying I can't wait to be grown. But I promise you, that was the dumbest thing I've ever spit out of my mouth, was I can't wait to be grown. If I can take it back, Lord knows I would. That was stupid of me to say, okay? But two, I feel like there is so much pressure put on these children nowadays to be adults, or to be cause them to be more mature than their actual age by parents. Even me, by me being the oldest, I had responsibility of watching my siblings, watching my brother who was 10 years younger than me while my mom went to work, and cooking for the family and things like that. I think too, a lot of parents put a lot of pressure on children to um be more mature than they are. You have them going to work and paying bills, and they haven't even finished school, and they're watching kids and taking care of the house better than the parent. But that shouldn't be the child's responsibility, because the absent parent is not there to pick up that slack. It's not the child responsibility to pick up that slack of the absent parent. Yes, they should do chores. Yes, they should help around the house. But to make children go to work and pay a bill before they even finish school, and then people put it off as I'm teaching them responsibility. Okay, yes, you're teaching them how to pay a water bill or a phone bill, but are you teaching them how to balance a checkbook? Are you teaching them how to open up a checking and a savings account? Or are you just requiring them to give you 200, 400, or whatever the amount of money is for that month to pay a bill that you're finally glad you don't have to pay, because now this child done went from 17 to 18, now all of a sudden they're grown. So I think it's a slippery slope between that. And I really don't like when people put their children out at 18. Now, if you have given them the necessary tools to thrive on their own, to be successful adults, then by all means. But if you have not taught them how to get an apartment on their own, how to sustain a life on their own, how to balance checkbooks. Some of them don't even know how to what a signature is. They don't even know how to write in cursive anymore. How to budget, how to allocate their check to this bill, that bill. If they don't have what's needed to get out there in the real world, just because yesterday they were 17 and you were calling them a child, and today they're 18, now all of a sudden they're adults, and you think this magically popped up in their head and they were just gonna grab that out their ass, and now all of a sudden it all was gonna come to them? Why have your kids if you know how to do all of these things and you had to learn it on your own? And of course, I'm not saying you, sis. But if you had to learn on your own, why don't you equip with your kids with the essential tools that they'll need to be able to sustain a lifestyle when they're out of your home? It's so many kids I know that don't even know how to balance a checkbook. Some of them don't even know how to count change back. But yet at 18, they had to get out the house and face the evil, mean, cruel world head on without the proper tools that they had. Yeah, they know how to cook and clean because they've been doing that all their life. They know how to babysit and raise kids because they've been doing that all their life. But when it comes to anything else, they're clueless. Hello, Miss Shannon. Hello, Miss Faye. Um, Miss Maisha said, right, Mika, 18, too young. And Shannon says, I'm an 81 baby, country with morals, values, character, respectful, and ride it on the back of the pickup trucks and loved it. Hey. Miss Faye says mine took a class in school which got them into the work field. Hey, and that's what also we need more of, Miss Faye. I think that's a great idea. Because I'm not one of those ones that beat kids over their head and say, you gotta go to college, you gotta go to college. Because college is not for everybody. Everybody is not meant to have a degree. But there are different avenues to be very successful in this world today. And I feel like if they showed kids more things, then they'll be aware of more things besides being a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, a psychologist, or whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with being those things, but they are so limited because they only see so much. I never knew there was a such thing as a forensic psychologist. I always thought growing up that there was only one type of psychologist until I got in my big age and I decided to do more research, and then I began to go to school. And then it just opened up a whole world for me. But why wasn't this stuff, even if it wasn't taught to me in school, why wasn't it taught to me, period? We have to start broadening our kids' horizon so they can know it's more out here in this world than just being the typical psychologist, police officer, yada yada yada. Miss Mel said, hell, these parents be making their kids raise their siblings. They can't even be kids. Mothers be putting their responsibility on their kids. And yes, Miss Mel, and it baffles me when I hear about, as much responsibility as some of these young kids have on their shoulders. And then when you get mad, you say, all you have to do is go to school, make good grades, and stay a kid. That's not true. You got them basically taking care of a whole doggone household. They the male figure of the house, or the young lady is the second mother of the house. And then some parents even guilt you in feeling guilty if about helping them, or what you should be doing and having their back. But the person that was supposed to have your back was the person that you procreated with. That's not my responsibility as a child, or a child's responsibility to take on a role as a parent. Miss Kitchen Sandra says she was glorifying the anorexia, is documented all the way up to until early this year. If you pull her up, you can see it now. Okay, I'm definitely gonna watch that. But see what I'm saying? And she probably considered herself an influencer. And she had probably a bunch of young impressionable young girls in there who was watching her, who probably tried to make themselves puke or take some type of supplements to lose weight, or started living a lifestyle that she was living and that she was encouraging, because you said she was glorifying it. And we just have too many people who are not strong enough to watch certain things. I'll just say that they shouldn't be watching certain things. Ms. Verona said you can't correct a child. They go tell their parents and they want to fight you. Right, Ms. Veronica. But I remember growing up, everybody down the block had permission to whoop us. So from my house to, excuse me one sec, from my house to the 2 blocks down, everybody had permission to whoop us. So if you did anything within those 3 blocks, you was bound to get your behind whooped. And my mama wasn't gonna question why you got whooped or anything, and that was vice versa for their children. If my mama whooped them, their mother wasn't gonna question why they were being whooped or anything like that, because they were able to discipline your child, and the parents trusted the other parents to know that I'm not going to put my hand on your child unless this is what's needed. I'm not just going to abuse your child. So if I put my hands on your child, 9 times out of 10 your child deserved their hands to be laid on their behalf. And it was just like that, and nobody ever complained, and you learned a lot. You listened, you had respect. Nowadays you don't even have that anymore. You can't even say anything. It was an incident that happened on the side of my building one night, and these young kids, I don't know why they decided to stop on a residential street and get out the car and start booty popping and dancing with their radios up loud in the middle of the night. So the young ladies were on top of the doggone hood with dresses on, booty popping, and the young guys was out there patting their butts and they were drinking. And so you heard gunshots probably a couple blocks away. So they all started screaming and they ran to the car. Instead of leaving, they ran to the car. They started giggling about it. And so one of them decides to get out the car and shoot in the air. Well, excuse me. I don't know if it was the person that was shooting a few blocks away or who it was, came right in front of this side street and started shooting down the side street. I guess where they heard the gunshot come from. Now, one what pissed me off was when the young guy got out the car to shoot, he shot towards our building. Could have killed somebody in their sleep. He didn't even have enough nerve to shoot straight up in the air. He shot at a slant, which he shot towards our building. And I know this for sure because they found the shell casing right next to our building. Then y'all didn't have enough nerve to leave when you heard the gunshot a few blocks away. So, long story short, somebody ended up calling the police on them. The police came. When they came, they cut them off from both ways. They cut them off from both ends of the street so they couldn't escape. So they asked them, who shot the gun? Everybody, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. So they searched the car. It was under the driver's seat. They run the serial number on the gun. The gun is stolen. Now they're pulling all this liquor out of the car. Some of them underage. So they start piling them in the police car. So some of them go to jail, some of them go home. But the two young guys that was riding with the driver with the pistol, his car got towed away, so they didn't have a ride home. So I go outside and I go to the side of the building and I said, young man, come here for a second. And I knew I was taking a risk because you can't talk to kids nowadays. I didn't know if they was going to snap out on me or whatever, but me being me, I always like to educate when I can. So I said, young man, come in. So they came over to the gate where I was at and I said, where y'all from? They said Ford Road, which is about 30, 40 minutes away from where they are. I said, so what y'all doing over here? They said, we just came from a graduation party. I said, so y'all decided to stop on a residential street, drink liquor in the middle of the street, and fire pistols, and think nobody was going to call the police on you? Man, I didn't know. We didn't know we were thinking, yada, yada, yada. So I said, why didn't y'all go where y'all was safe in your own neighborhood in front of your own house? Because you are drinking. You shouldn't even be drinking and driving. You're far away from your house. You're putting yourself in a really dangerous situation. You're in a neighborhood you know nothing about. I'm like, learn from this experience because all of y'all could have been gone to jail right about now. So I asked them how they were getting home. They had no way to get home. So I paid $62 to get them home because I just wanted them to be safe. But why are these kids outside this type of night and nobody's checking on them? It was nowhere in this world that at 16, 17 years old, I can be all the way on the other side of the city at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning without knowing that my mom was gonna kick my butt when I came back home. We wasn't gonna play with Pat like that. So a lot of things just run through my mind. So many things could have happened in that situation. That bullet could have came down and killed one of them. That bullet could have killed an innocent person in this building. Oh, Miss Mel said, okay, she's talking to Shannon. Miss Tracy says siblings, one is 19 and he doesn't have to work. Grand don't have a problem with him not working. Granddaughter works for FIMA and has made the dean's list 3rd year in a row. Okay, now. Miss Mel said, I remember having sleepovers and making tents with cheers. I miss my childhood. Right, Mel? Used to be so fun. Miss Faye said, I remember at vacation Bible school, I got in trouble and got spanked. Then when I got home, you got another one, you got in trouble again. Hey, Miss Florida Red. Miss Florida Red said, I was only allowed to watch family shows on TV and definitely no TV except Billy Graham and Ed Sullivan on Sundays. Woo! I just told my age by what I used to watch on TV growing up. Blessed. Absolutely. Miss Tracy said, I have a 21-year-old granddaughter in college full time and work full time. 1 more year to be a psychologist. All right now. And mom doesn't work. Dad half ass work and she pays all the bills. Wow. Wow. Miss Mel said, just take the whole internet away. This world will go in chaos in 5, 4, 3, 2. Boom, sis, honey. They would lose their shiznai, honey. Miss Ellen said, yes, it wasn't just our parents we respected our adult neighbors too, actually feared them. Absolutely. Any adult. We respected all adults. Whether you knew them, whether your mother knew them or not, you respected all adults. Miss Veronica said, don't call after 9. Absolutely not. Or you won't be talking on the phone tomorrow. Miss Shannon said, right, Mika? Miss Melson, I'm so glad I'm the only child. I was spoiled. Miss Singh said, back in my day, when they say village, it was really a village. Okay. Hello, Pink. Everybody, please welcome Miss Pink Confinement. Um, Ms. Veronica said, I'm 58 years old and I don't understand how these young parents raising these kids. And Ms. Veronica, half of them not even raising kids nowadays. Like I said, I feel like social media and electronics is raising their children. Um, I forgot who was telling me about that story. I think it was my sister was just telling me about the story of the young lady who left her 15-month-old baby at home while she came to Detroit and I think went to Mexico, I think they said. And the baby, I think she left the baby home for 8 days. Don't quote me on the amount of days that she left because I'm just trying to remember the story off the top of my head. But what in the world was she thinking to leave a 15-month-old baby at home by him or herself? And that's why I said in my other video that I really think that people should have a psychological evaluation before they're able to reproduce. Because what? And the neighbors had said that she has asked them plenty of times to watch the baby before, and she don't understand why she didn't ask this time for them to keep the baby. The lady says that the first time ever meeting her, she asked her to watch her child, and she didn't come back for a month. Sometime not even answering the phone calls of the neighbor who had her child, where the lady will call for milk and diapers and tell her, listen, I don't have any money for diapers or milk for your child. And sometimes she wouldn't even answer the phone. What? But I love to do stories because you all know that I love to try to see what's going on in their life, what could have brought them to making such a horrific decision, or just to go over what is actually going on in real life, like the things that are happening so around us. But stories like that, I put in my back pocket, and it takes me forever to talk about, because I can't wrap my head around it. Even with my education and all of that, I can't put Tamika and be the Tamika with the education. I'm Mika. I'm Mika. Like, what the f? How could you? I I just can't. I can't even imagine that baby. That baby suffered. Hello, Miss JJ for life. That baby suffered, and by the hands of his or her own mother. And it's too much of that going on right now, where kids are suffering and the cause is his or her own parent. Hold on, y'all. Hello, John Trail said, laugh out loud. I remember that phone because when my mama used to take the phone at night, my sister had one with the ringer off so she didn't miss the call. Yeah. Now your mama would have found that phone under the covers. Miss Linda said, my first time really listening to your channel. Appreciated it. Work day in the AM. Good night. Oh, thank you so much. Miss Faye said, we built cardboard houses in the backyard with all the rooms that kept us occupied for hours. Yes, we had so much fun in the backyard. Nowadays, these kids don't even know what the backyard is. Go outside. What? Miss Mel said, we used to have block parties as a child. It was exciting to know we could ride our bikes in the street. Right, Mel? And I was asking Kim one day, did you all ever have the mobile pool? So on the block party days, it used to be this big truck, and it was filled up with water. It was a pool, and it had a pool attached to the back of it. It was like a semi truck, and but on the back was a big pool filled with water, and it was called the swim mobile. And you can rent it for things like birthday parties and block parties. And so every year we used to have a block party, the swim mobile would come. But she said she didn't know what I was talking about, but I don't even know why I asked her, because Florida has so many beaches. But Mel, did y'all since you so close, did y'all have the swim mobiles or anything? Hello, EJG2. Welcome. Miss Ellen said, when parents do stuff like that, I always wonder, do they think there won't be consequences? Like, you really think you can get away with something like that, right? Who thinks? I'm like, it wasn't even no thinking to that. So it's like, she wants to be childless. She never wanted a baby. In my opinion, she's probably one of those ones who just thought she was going to be able to keep the man if she had the doggone baby, because it's evident she didn't want the baby by the amount of times and for the period of times the neighbors had the child, and the child was only 15 months. And how comfortable she felt leaving her baby with strangers. That's beyond me. It wasn't no thinking involved in anything that she did. You never saw him coming up? Okay. Yes, Miss Florida Red, that is so sad. Mrs. JJ for Life said the mom that stabbed her 5-year-old daughter and said God did it. Wow. Miss Pink said people need to stop having kids if they don't want them, are not going to take care of them properly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I definitely think that if you um if you can't handle one, please stop opening your legs to two, three, four, and five when you know it's hard enough with one. You can't get mad at other people because they don't want to watch your child, take care of your children because you decided to have multiple children and now you need a break. You knew you needed a break when you had just one. You continue to have child after child after child, and now you want to try to guilt me into feeling bad about you needing a break. No, that's not gonna work. I'm good, Miss Pink. How are you? Miss Mel said, when my son was 13, 14, little girls was coming in my house at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, where are y'all mamas, damn it, coming in my house at that to see my son? Exactly. Where, how in the heck do you even, at that age, how do you even get out the house without your mother knowing at 13, 14 years old? Baby, I guess too, it also depends on how you were raised because we didn't, none of that type of stuff even crossed my sister or my mind growing up because we already know Pat was going to unalive us, excuse me, if we tried some mess like that. So, stuff like sneaking out the house, sneaking people in the house, all of that type of stuff, we didn't do because we knew my mama wasn't no joke. She never beat us or whooped us or anything. I got a hit in my mouth once. I told y'all with the rings. My sister got a whooping one time with the belt for skipping school. And that was it in our whole life. So my mom wasn't the type that'll put her hands on us. It was just that look that she had, but you knew she was capable of messing you up if she had to. And it wasn't beneath her to F you up if she had to. So you didn't even play with her. You didn't try it. Hello, good vibes with Big Cheese. Miss Florida Red said recently a guy after making them line up executed his children. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, welcome in. Yes, Miss Mel, we used to have the fire hydrant open as well, even though we wasn't supposed to, but they don't follow the rules, on that day. Miss Tracy said, yes, I remember that when I was a little kid, when I lived in Phoenix. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow, that was cool for some of us who don't have a pool. Yes, it was. I never got in there, Miss Tracy, because I don't know how to swim. I didn't even want to say that out loud at my big age, but I don't know how to swim. And I'm only 5'2", and I don't play in water like that. So I'd be scared. So I've never been in there, but I know what it looked like, child. I'm good vibes with Big Cheese. Thank you for coming in and kicking it with us. Oh, you good. But are all hearts and minds clear? Because I just want to come on and have this conversation with y'all because, like I said, it's just been something that's been on my mind for a while, and I just love talking to y'all about it because I love to hear y'all point of view about things as well. I think everybody is good. Well, you all know that I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I will be back on soon. And you all have a very peaceful night. Bye.